elements are well. You start off the mindset on the left, then you move on to the 4 Agile values, the Agile Manifesto, and then you move on to the 12 principles of the Agile Manifesto, and finally, then you get on to all the methodologies and the processes and the systems that are in all these books about what this is about, what's in the Scrum Guide. But if you simply implement the things on the right, all those little processes, and you don't implement the first 3 things on the left, then you're never going to get the benefits of Agile. It's not a definition, but it is the starting point for actually becoming Agile. So what we're talking about is a different mindset, a different goal. Instead of a firm having a goal of making money for its shareholders, the goal is to create value for its customers. And to get there, you need these different structures and different ways of coordinating work, different values, and the things in the top are important, but unless the goal is right, you're never going to get to where you need to go. And so, as Donald Trump had said, this change is huge, a really huge change that we're facing here. And so, I mean, here's one illustration of what this is about. I mean, the question I'm often asked is, how many layers can you have in an organization and still be agile? I don't know what your idea is. Is it 3, 5? Any advance on 5, 7? The answer is it doesn't matter. We see organizations of 1 layer which are totally non-agile, which are even in tiny little groups. They're in silos and they're not collaborating. They are not agile. So these huge organizations where you have 7 layers of management, and the interaction that's going on is so open and collaborative. You can have the senior vice president talking with most junior recruit in the organization, and they're having a conversation about what works, what will help, how we can make things better. And it's a totally normal conversation. When you have that kind of mindset throughout the organization, then it doesn't matter how many layers you have an organization that is in sync. So this question, how many layers can you have, is simply irrelevant once you have the agile mindset. And this is, I'd say, huge. And my analogy I often use is the Copernican revolution in astronomy. 16th century people thought that the sun revolved around the earth, and eventually they figured out, no, it's the other way around. Actually, we're revolving around the sun. This was a pretty big shock, and it had huge social implications once we realized that we weren't the center of the universe. And the same thing is now happening in management. 20th century, the firm considered itself the center of the universe, and the customers are out there in the periphery. And what has happened now is the customer is the center of the universe, and the firm is out there on the periphery trying to figure out what to do with it. The boss. The customer is now the boss, the very center of the universe. And so you need to be thinking about the world in a very different way in order to make this happen. The second major finding is that this requires leadership. Nothing happens in this without champions. So a lot of gossip about bossless officers and whatnot, and get rid of managers. This is stupid. The role of leadership is massive. The organizations we saw, I mean, just 2 weeks ago, we were in a couple of huge organizations, and one organization, the people we're talking to were as articulate and knowledgeable about Agile as any people we've ever met with, but they were making very little progress in the organization because they had no sponsor at the top of the organization. There was no one that they could go to and say, look, we have a problem with this group over there, they're not collaborating. And as a result, they are making very, very, very slow progress, really at the start of the journey. And I don't think they will get very far until they do have someone at the top of the organization. By contrast, at Barclays Bank, there were 130,000 people and 700 teams. In 15 months, they've been racing along. Really quite amazing what progress they made. And one of the key reasons for that is that they have a champion at the top of the organization. The chief operating officer 15 months ago announced that we are going agile. The whole organization, the commercial bank, the investment bank, the audit function, compliance, every aspect of this organization is going agile. And so the person leading the charge, John Smart, he can actually go to the chief operating officer Well, so you can say, look, I've got some problems over here, but here's someone who should be encouraged. And that makes a huge difference in the organization when you have a champion at the top. So this is not about getting rid of managers, it's about having managers that are actually leaders of the organization.